All right, staff, we good to go?
Yes, sir.
Very good. We'll now call the city council regular meeting to order for December the 9th. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. The invocation will be given by Councilwoman Brittany McGuire.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this evening. Thank you for everyone who came out tonight. Lord, as we go about making these decisions, I'm asking you for clarity, Lord, and wisdom as we go forth to make the absolute best decision for the city as a whole. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, if you could please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Councilmember McGuire.
Here.
Councilmember McCure.
Here.
Councilmember Taylor.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Bernard.
Here.
Mayor Anderson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there anything for item number 4?
No, so there's not.
Got it. All right, item number 5. We have a very special guest. We have Lieutenant Colonel Chang. He's going to come up and give us a presentation. He is the new person in charge at our Avon Park Air Force Base. So if you give him a big round of applause, we welcome him up here to the podium. Lieutenant Colonel, welcome.
Mayor, thank you for the invite. Dr. Kelly, thank you for reaching out as well. Very honored to be part of this meeting here. I wasn't expecting this many people, so I am a little nervous. People this crowd here, and I know you guys can hear me just as fine. The presentation's coming up. With being said, I just took over the Avon Park Air Force Range last August. Dr. Kelly was just a couple days prior, seeing the conditions, so speaking people with us. Nonetheless, I'd just like to take this opportunity to speak to our ranger, the mission that we do, and any questions that you guys have from my team. I brought my hunting program here. Dr. Gwinnett right here, my historian Kathy, who's been here for a while, welcome to answer. So probably a question that I don't quite know all the answers to, but I'm glad to take any questions you guys have and answer them. And then
Lieutenant Colonel.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, you're actually supposed to address the commission, and
Yeah.
and they'll hear it. But it's no
Yeah.
problem. No problem.
Can't get it on record if it's not in the microphone. So
Okay,
yeah.
okay. And then without further ado, team, I'll start with the brief.
Awesome.
So, next slide, please. Perfect. Okay, sorry. I'm learning. Still learning here.
No problem.
Okay, just before I go into the overview of the brief, or the brief for that matter, just like to introduce myself. Took over back in August. I'm graduated or commissioned in 2005 from the academy. Born and raised in Chicago. My parents immigrated from South Korea a long time ago, but I had the pleasure of growing around in the Midwest, corn-fed. Probably is the reason why I'm a little taller than usual. Anyway, I'm just well-fed. So that being said, went to the academy, went to learn how to fly. Air Force assigned me to fly the A-10 Warthog, which we'll see until about 2028, until the Air Force decides to get rid of them completely. So I'll have the pleasure of at least flying that aircraft for a little bit. I go flying up at the Moody Air Force Base in Valdosta, Georgia. It's a short 5-hour drive to get up there. My commander does let me fly every once in a while just to kind of stay current. And then, but my primary job is here as the range commander for the Avon Park Air Force Range to support the mission, our training, our folks, our team, as well as integrate with the community, which I'm relatively new at. But again, an honor to speak before the council today. You, Mr. Mayor, and then Dr. Shelley again. Thank you for the invite. So, our mission statement. So, apologize. Letters are kind of small. But really, what does the Avon Park Air Force Range do? I like to say that we offer a premier training space for DoD units as well as any partners of the government to use our 100,000-acre range facility to conduct what I primarily call air-to-ground training. So when I was stationed back at Moody back in 2015 and 2018, I take my aircraft to A-10, I take off from Moody, fly the 45 minutes down here to the range, check in, and then I could practice dropping practice ordnance. I could shoot the gun, talk to ground parties to coordinate with them. The same type of ground parties we call Joint Terminal Attack Controllers, JTACs, that deploy with the Army. And so they'd speak to air units, whether it be the A-10, Apache, other aircraft, F-15s, F-16s, just to practice how to get our eyes on targets as well as to employ against said targets. And that's what our range is great for, to have these units come here, train to that entire chain of events to do our mission essentially. Other focus areas I'd like to say, following regulations and such. The vision here of note says increase Avon Park Air Force Range training opportunities into 5th generation requirements. So this 5th generation requirements that you hear of, typically I think as a country, we're used to seeing 4th generation requirements, which are basically the airplanes that you all know and love. You got the F-16, the A-10, my beloved aircraft, the F-15, and then other aircraft that has been around for darn near a half century, 40, 50 years. Now, as you see new aircraft coming on like the F-35 with its stealth technology, the F-22 even, that is the category that we're trying to speak to when it comes to 5th generation capabilities. So while we're great at supporting 4th generation, I want to say there's a question mark as to supporting 5th gen, but it's new to us as well as it is for the entire Air Force, and we're trying to support them as well. Any questions per this slide, Council? Okay, next slide, please. Mission support strategy. So as much as I talk about the Air Force employing aircraft, training the way we fight, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that supports that mission. I've already mentioned my hunting manager, Patrick Glenn in the background, Kathy, our historian that keeps me honest in everything that occurs at the squadron. Well, we got a support division that includes our fire and emergency support services. We got an environmental quality control program. So a lot of things to make sure we're abiding by regulations, acts set by Congress and law. And then really a lot of things that make the squadron run. We have approximately 100 people stationed at the unit. That includes a mixture of active duty service members like myself. We got the civilians that work for the DoD, and then we got contractors that are also employed by the Air Force that work at the range. Any questions? Depending on the slide. Okay.
Do we have any reservists out there?
We have no reservists actively assigned to the squadron, but I do see them come to the squadron to train every once in a while. So reserve units are, of course, welcome to use our range facilities for training. Any other questions? Okay, next slide.
Sorry.
Okay, so to get an idea of how Avon Park, the range is. So I mentioned the composition of personnel here. We have about 100,000 acres for the range that is utilized day and night. We have an 8,000 foot uncontrolled runway with these back 12s. I apologize for the acronyms. I should have changed that. But basically, we're capable of accepting a lot of aircraft at the airfield. Pictures I've seen of C-17 aircraft, these large, agile, maneuverable cargo aircraft that the Air Force uses all over the world can land here. We got A-10s, we got F-16s. And basically, when just really quickly, the back 12s are basically barrier systems. So anytime these fast fighter type aircraft land, sometimes they have to utilize a hook capable system, almost like an aircraft carrier, except it's on the runway. It's kind of like a last resort system that we use. That I kept that in the presentation to simply show that Avon Park Air Force Range, we're very compatible and supportive of modern day Air Force missions. And yeah, so I'd just like to advertise that wherever we go. You see things like an assault strip, so not quite like a asphalt pavement type runway there, but it's just almost like a dirt strip that's also capable of landing aircraft. Again, great training opportunities for aircraft to not necessarily just practice to normal runway operations, but to also train to what we'd best call austere operations to make them get ready for that mindset. Where are they going to land? Are they going to land at an airfield? Are they going to land in an island in the middle of nowhere? Who knows where they're going to be? So that's the kind of training opportunity we'd like to provide them. We also have small arms ranges for ground units to shoot all sorts of weapons and such. And then restricted airspace. So that picture that you see to the right, there's this weird polygon type of shape, 34 nautical miles, 54, 42 on one side, that big red square in the middle. Basically, there's an airspace over the range area. And then you can see it's a lot over the town, Highway 27. Basically, the aircraft use this airspace to fly into, and then they just hold there. But of course, in that red shaded square right there is where they do a lot of the employment. So that's when, I fly in there, I might point at the ground, shoot the gun, drop some bombs. Again, that red square area, that's approximately 10 by 10 nautical miles, centered around basically the runway at our airfield. Any questions? Okay. Next slide, please. All right. Believe it or not, we also have some facilities at MacDill Air Force Base. That's 2 hours to the west of us. And all that to really say is that we use these two locations. So we got the main range here at Avon Park, and then we got a piece of real estate at MacDill. So basically, what we're offering Air Force units is like, hey, come out to Avon Park, and they're like, well, we like to like have a huge party nightlife kind of scene going on. Like, okay, Tampa at MacDill, that's a perfect place for you guys to land your aircraft, which obviously has a bigger airfield, a bigger parking ramp. They got facilities. And then, what I call regular Air Force amenities, if they like to choose to do so. But of course, you might also see some aircraft deploy out to Avon Park, the range out here, of which we also have the capability, like I mentioned previously, to land aircraft, to park them. And then we also have dorm facilities for our military members and any supporting personnel to stay in there free of charge to the DoD, and then enjoy training as close as possible to their training location, especially the range space. You see other things that stand out, like W168. That simply stands for Warning Area 168. It's a piece of airspace over the ocean or the Gulf there that we control, that we could schedule. And I use that term scheduling to say units. They of course they could train here. We open that up. Reservist, guard, active duty. But obviously they need to follow a process as well. So they need to call. It's not like 100 units could call for the same time of airspace and parking ramp time. We just need to be able to delineate who has what time so we could accommodate their requests. And if we can't, we try to offer them, more times that they can. So it's not just military units. I think in the past we've had state agencies, FEMA, all sorts of agencies that all they really have to do is call, ask, and then we just ask them like, hey, is this supporting like a DoD mission? Is it supporting any type of mission? And we talk about it. And typically we approve it if it's legitimate, of course. Other things that I'd just like to mention here. Yeah. Opportunities, just like I said in that last point, opportunities to train with the multitude of aircraft platforms and joint partners. So if you got a reason and it's a valid justification, come on by to the Air Force Range. We're here for that. Awesome. Any questions on
I
that?
have a question. Do you have a maintenance staff on the base as well as fueling?
Sir, as far as aircraft maintenance, we do not. The fueling services provided to us are provided, in fact, by the Sebring International Airport. So we have to call them ahead of time. And that's why it's so important for units to call ahead of time to schedule. Like, hey, what are you bringing? Oh, you're bringing a C-17? Oh, we need a lot of fuel. So they bring fuel trucks out to us, of course, knowing it ahead of time. And then any maintenance personnel that need to fix aircraft, they must be brought by the units that choose to train there. Case in point, let's say I fly my A-10 down to Avon Park, I land, and then for some reason I can't start back up because the engine's broken. That means I wouldn't say only maintenance personnel from Moody, but maintenance personnel from Moody would have to drive or fly down to Avon Park, fix the aircraft, and once it gets fixed, the aircraft take off, and then said maintenance personnel would also depart back to their home base.
So are you considering possibility of having a fueling station at our Avon Park Airport now, as well as maybe mechanics stayed there?
As far as the fueling piece, sir, currently there's no discussion for it. Now, would it be nice to have like some sort of what would I say ever-present fueling option for the range? I think that'd be nice and convenient. And I guess the same case would also go for maintenance personnel. But as my own personal theory, as Popeye Chang, not Lieutenant Colonel Chang, is really simply, I'm sorry, my Popeye is my Air Force call sign. So if you're like, who's this Popeye? He keeps referring to you. And if you call me as such, that's exactly how I respond. I'll turn you say my call sign out in town, I'll turn my head immediately. I'll be like, hey, who said that? But as far as fueling and maintenance personnel goes, Popeye's personal theory is this: that the Air Force is purposely keeping the Avon Park Air Force Range as bare bones as possible. Why? Because I think the way the Air Force sees us is that they want aircraft to come to the range and force them to solve their own problems. And then when I say aircraft, I meant units. So when units deploy to Avon Park Air Force Range, yep, we got a runway. Obviously, aircraft need runways to land on. They need a place to park. Yeah, I guess we could help solve their sleeping situation as well and put them in the barracks. But beyond that, I think a term I'm going to introduce here later in the brief that the Air Force is trying to initiate is an initiative called Agile Combat Employment, ACE. So ACE means we try to stay as lean as possible as an Air Force, and we try to deploy units to various locations, not expecting to go to a fully established Air Force base like you would see, whether like in England and Italy, some parts of the Middle East, like Qatar at Al Udeid Air Base, you got a full base. We're getting ready for a fight where we're sending aircraft with no fueling options, no maintenance, no support, no bed down locations. It's literally like as long as there's a piece of concrete for aircraft to land on, that's what the Air Force is getting ready for. So to answer your question, Councilman, right now there's no, I guess the best way I could say it, no money that the Air Force is setting aside to permanently have a refueling or maintenance footprint at Avon Park Air Force Range. It is my personal belief because the Air Force is purposely doing that to keep the range an austere or a viable austere training location, if that makes sense there.
Okay, if the Air Force comes to you and says, would you consider refueling at Avon Park instead of Sebring? Would you at least support that?
Oh yeah, yeah, sir. Like at the executive airport, or
Yes,
yeah. I mean, like it's a good option. I guess things to consider is that the
Give you
air.
a better price.
Oh yeah. If the Air Force, were to, or as far as like, sir, just to clarify, do you mean like sending a truck from Avon Park Executive to like the range? Is that?
No, we'll have fuel. They should have fuel out there.
Okay.
Dave. You can go and get.
Yeah,
You can move your vehicle, your planes there to be refueled.
yeah, sir. I'll say that I know. Yeah, I know. Aircraft that have previously supported missions and training missions at Avon Park have landed at Avon Park Executive. I think very recently a contracted company, mind you, called Blue Air Training. I forget. Yeah, they forgot what kind of aircraft they flew, but they based out of the Avon Park Executive Airport. And we say, like, is it a better option to land and be serviced at Avon Park Executive versus the range? I would say for this scenario, let's say you land at Avon Park Executive, you park there, and then let's say these contractor personnel that's part of Blue Air Training wanted just a quick drive where they're staying in town versus the additional 20 minutes you got to drive to get to the range.
Yeah.
That's a good reason. And I would say Avon Park Executive has been, as far as I've seen in the past 4 months and what I've heard before I got here, it sounds like the Avon Park Executive Airport is very supportive about parking aircraft. The fueling options, I heard no issues with it. And as far as like the fueling contract between who gets to provide it, I'll be honest, sir, I don't know. I could take that question back to my contracting team, of which we have personnel at the squadron assigned to address those types of questions. But that's something worth asking about as well. But I can't speak as smartly as I want to directly answer.
I was watching. I've met many of your members out there at Avon Park in the last few months, and they're very happy there.
Yes, sir. Okay,
So
sounds good.
We'd
Sir.
like to see you move.
Yeah, yes, sir. Will do, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this slide? Steve? Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, yeah, talk about agile combat employment. So really talked to all this stuff, talked about the aircraft that flies in. A term you see there is the Battle Defense Group, the 820th up at Moody. They're basically base defense personnel that are trained specifically for base defense. And then pictures there, you got a C-130 that I believe has a fueling bladder inside that ginormous aircraft that's feeding a line to the A-10s to the right, those small aircraft to the right there. And underneath the hangar that does exist for us, we got that F-35 underneath, two F-35s, in fact, underneath that hangar. And I believe there's an MQ-9 unmanned aerial vehicle asset also underneath that hangar. I think it's a very cool picture. But again, that fifth generational asset that I was talking about, you see right there parked in our range, two of them, in fact, right below the hangar there. Any questions on this slide? All right, next slide. All right, talk more about ACE. That's my pitch. At least that's what I like to think is the theme of my command here. Just trying to advance the agile combat employment initiatives. We got a runway, we got a dorm facility, we got buildings, we got an open bay if we need a lot of people. Basically, we offer the minimum for units to come to the range and train. But quite frankly, what I challenge any Air Force unit, any DoD unit, whether it be the Army, Marine Corps, even the Navy, Coast Guard, us, I know the Coast Guard department, not part of the DoD, but nonetheless, these armed service branches, I challenge them to come to the Avon Park Air Force Range and challenge themselves. So like, don't stay in the barracks. Like, why don't you bring some tents? Well, you've got plenty of open lawn space and such. But again, I think right now we are witnessing the transformation of how the Air Force is intending to fight, where we're used to going to bases all around the world. Can we do it in places that aren't used to seeing aircraft, essentially? So that's my pitch for ACE utilization. Any questions on this slide? Next slide, please. All right, more stuff that this talks to just what the range offers. a lot of things. You got drop zones if people want to parachute out there. Helicopters, as you can see, have a lot of fun just shooting up targets. You can see the target, an example of a target set on the range, and then just a composition in the upper right of the map of like all the range space we have for aircraft and ground parts to train in for that matter. Any questions on this slide? All right, next slide. And that's really it. So again, Councilman, Mr. Mayor, Dr. Clay, thank you for inviting me out here. It really is an honor to integrate with the community. I'm pretty new at it. Prior to this, I was on Air Force staff. I knew how to count a lot of beans and spreadsheets and such, but to kind of get thrust into the limelight here, supporting the mission, our great people in the squadron, this great community. I'm sure some of you have recognized me around town. Just with my family, we live in the Sun Lakes district. Try to live as close as possible. And then as short or not long ago as I took over here back in August, I guess in a blink of an eye, I'll probably be gone. And my tour is only 2 years, and I'll try to tell the next guy how much of a gem of an assignment this is. And I look forward to working with everyone here.
Thank you very much for coming.
Yes.
Do Avon Park still use the base as a bombing training base?
Yes. I mean, as far as I'd say air to ground training range, but yeah, colloquially we'll say it's a bombing range. So we don't bring actual like exploding bombs. We bring bombs that we simply call practice munitions. So they might kick up a little smoke. Good for the air crew to see where the bombs impact, and that's good for them to kind of provide any feedback to them, like, hey, did I employ correctly?
Actually, I'm talking about, if you lived in Avon Park, you'll know that when they do some type of training there, you could hear it. I mean, there's loud bombs, and when they're not kicking up smoke,
Sure.
you can hear it in the city.
Yeah.
So do they still practice? Do they still do that type of training there?
I'm not aware of any loud bombs, but I know there's some jet noise that I hear occasionally of as I mentioned, like the airspace overhead. Sometimes you might hear some aircraft like flying overhead. But yeah, currently I'm not aware of any like bombs exploding that that at least have been brought to my attention. I know we do this practice called explosive ordnance disposal every year, where we close the range down. We just try to clean up the range of any possible unexploded ordnance that's on the range. And I think this year is scheduled for about like January or February. But basically a specialized EOD team, the explosive ordnance disposal team, they go out to the range. They gather up any munitions that may be unexploded, and they do detonate it. That'd be the only real, what I call true explosive event that the range would experience. But again, that's either a couple weeks out of the year, but definitely not, I guess, regularly. If that answers your question, Councilwoman.
Councilwoman, I think what you're hearing is just the dumb bombs that
Yeah.
are the training bombs, but they don't actually explode. They're just so heavy and they're so high that it
Yeah.
makes such a loud noise.
My house moves when they drop them.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I have a question when you guys are done.
Go ahead.
So the checkpoint that's at the very beginning of the Air Force Base,
Yes, ma'am.
I know that Department of Corrections has manned that, if you will, for lack of a better word.
Sure.
There's been some issues where they've completely stopped doing it. Do you ever see that would be a checkpoint again, a secure checkpoint at any time?
Ma'am, at least for the near future, at least like during my tenure, I don't personally, like I kind of joked and said seriously earlier about like the money issue. So, to answer your question, ma'am, no, I don't see it. But if the Air Force were to deem to man that checkpoint, if they came to some sort of agreement with the Department of Corrections, and whether it's with the state of Florida, wherever else, and it came to be that the Air Force had to provide some sort of security, then of course we'd have to either there's options. I'm not saying what's more viable or not, but either a contracted option, have people stationed here, have people rotate here, which obviously when I say it doesn't cost money for DoD members, it costs money in that the military still has to pay for their lodging, their per diem to eat and such like that. So for near term, no, but I know that at the range we have a gate and camera system that we try to use as it's not a 1-for-1 substitute, obviously. Would it be nice and convenient to have we call our military police, we call security forces. So would it be nice to have a security force, whether it be a flight or I'll just use I guess more common terms like a company here, like 120 airmen to do that kind of mission, that'd be great. But I think, as I understood in history, and Kathy back me up on this, Avon Park, the range used to have like hundreds, if not like thousands of people. Like I'm talking about World War II days. And then maybe like in the 70s, they had somewhere up to like 300, 400 people, where I think that manned security may have been present. But I think recently, at least in my time, I think there was security, like you said, that Department of Corrections provided up until 2020. And then that stopped as of 4 years ago. So if that answers your question.
Yes.
Okay.
Lieutenant Colonel, it's been a treat. We thank you very much. And by all means, if there's any way Avon Park can help you, let us know.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you for all your combat missions too.
Oh,
By the
thank,
record, by the record.
thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right. Move on to the consent agenda. This will be for items 6 through 13. Anything you wish to be removed? Seeing none, be looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve C 6 through 13 on the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
yes,
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
motion passes.
This doesn't have anything to do with anything. Well, I guess it does, but it's not gonna matter about the motion, but Mr. Roberts with the is he here? Mr. Roberts? Okay. You gave us this
If
information?
if we can get you to come up to the microphone if you're going to comment. Just give your name and your organization, please.
My name is Larry Roberts. I'm with Highlands County or Highlands American Legion Post 69.
Mhm.
I am the American Legion State of Florida Benefits Chairman for the veterans. So my job is to help the veterans maneuver the VA state and local benefits. Right now, we have between 40 to 44 veterans a day committing suicide nationally. I have teamed up with over 200 organizations in the state of Florida to provide free counseling, free therapy to help relieve some of that stress from the VA. The VA's backlog so bad that the veterans aren't being patient enough. So my job is to find those outside resources to help those veterans. We also have 16 kids a day nationally committing suicide, plus the first responders. This event is called the 10th Annual Veterans Expo. What we're doing, it's growing so big, it's a 2-day event. Friday, January 3rd, we are bringing in the Vietnam Wall and the Global War Terror Wall. The Vietnam Wall has 58,200 names of lives that have died over there in Vietnam. The Global War Terror is 9/11 to now, has a firemen, policemen, and the veterans that have died, giving their ultimate sacrifice since 9/11. Right now, we also have the new 2025 Miss Veteran America going to be with us. Escorting that wall is an honor. I can't say enough. When you see those names on that wall, you start teary-eyed. We were going to have between 400 to 500 motorcycles. We already talked to both sheriff department for the Polk County and the Highlands County. They're going to provide the escort for us. When the wall arrives at American Legion Post 69, we're going to have the main 22 organizations that I use to help veterans on site. So that way, if a veteran needs to get a service dog, if a veteran wants to get therapy for a horse, or if a veteran wants to put in for a disability claim, we can provide those services that day. That's Friday, January 3rd, because we got to get all the equipment there, get the walls there, get the people there. Saturday, January 4th is the main event. That's where we're going to have both walls up displayed. We're going to have live bands playing and up to 65 to 70 vendors that do nothing but help veterans, first responders, and kids for PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, MST, military sexual trauma, and TBI, traumatic brain injury. This counseling is going to be free. The average cost to send a veteran to go get those counseling is between $100 to $200 an hour. We have 16 organizations that are going to be on site that we can send veterans and first responders on retreats, which cost between $4,000 to $8,000, all free. So our ultimate goal is to get you council members and the mayor there when that wall comes in to say, hey, thank you for your service. Thank you for those veterans coming in. I already talked to the county commissioners. They're going to be there. You get teary-eyed. And all along Bell Street, we're going to have kids from the YMCA, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, the JRTCs all lined up on Bell Street with flags as we're coming in. The fire department's going to have the big flag. So another thing I'm calling this event, the Veterans Resource Super Bowl. So if a veteran wants to know about VA benefits, state benefits, local benefits, everything's gonna be a one-stop shop.
Excellent.
And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I know there's a couple veterans in here. I can help. I have the resources. I know how the VA works. I know the tricks of the trade.
Yep.
Every veteran that's come to my office has gotten something, but they gotta listen because it's tricks. And that's all I'm asking. And every veteran, everybody that comes to that event is gonna get one of these warning signs. It has the warning signs for suicide and the hotline number. Everybody that comes is gonna get this card to take home with them. That way, if they run into somebody that's got the warning signs, hey, let's make that call together. 988.
Awesome.
So-
Is there a job placement component to your organization?
Yes. Job placement. What do you at
Just
this
if
event?
veterans looking for jobs and there's
Yes.
companies that want to hire them. So
Yes. That event, we're gonna have pretty much 3 of everything. So we're gonna have the Heartland workforce there. So if a veteran needs a job, we're gonna get them the job. Last year, we did 120 disability claims in 2 days,
wow.
which usually takes a month. We had the blood mobile there. 20 people donated blood. Four lives saved per person. We got 4 homeless veterans off the street that day.
Nice.
So the resources are going to be there. Same thing, job placement. We're going to have everything you can imagine.
Excellent.
So
Are you able to help veterans that live in other countries?
I can help with anything. I'll find the resource. I'll reach out. We had a female veteran 2 weeks ago. We spent 9 hours on the phone till we got her off the street. We were able to get her in the Jacaranda for 30 days. The St. Paul Vincent paid for it, and then we got her apartment. All expense paid.
Excellent.
So
Any other questions for him?
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
I can't wait.
thank you. And Friday, January 3rd, the wall is expected to arrive at the American Legion Post 69 between 11:50 and noon.
11:50 noon. Okay.
Between 11:50, it's traveling 22 miles. We're leaving Lake Wales, Longleat Boulevard, which is 22 miles away, going 50 miles per hour. So anywhere between 12:50 and noon is when we're arriving.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, item number 14. This will be a public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 15-2024.
An ordinance of the city of Avon Park, Florida, providing for amendment of the city's solid waste collection program, section 82-34, preparation and placement of materials to be collected, to remove the requirement for payment for stolen garbage carts, but require a police report for the theft, providing for codification, repeal of conflicting codes, ordinances and resolutions, providing for severability of provisions, providing for scrivener's error, and providing for an effective date.
As I said, this will be the second reading, so it'll be a public hearing for ordinance number 15-2024. That public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on the amendment of solid waste ordinance can now do so. While that is open, anyone care to give us a overview of this ordinance?
This, during our last council meeting, it was actually before that, there was a question came up to replace the language that was in the ordinance, and the new language says if a card is stolen and the customer provides a police report of that theft, the fees will be waived. So that's, we just, that change was made, and now that's it.
Public hearing is still open. Anyone wishing to speak or ask any questions can do that. Seeing no speakers, public hearing for ordinance number 15-2024 is now closed. We'll be looking for a motion. Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve D14 ordinance number 15-2024.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Item number 15, this will be a public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 16-2024.
An ordinance of the city of Avon Park, Florida, providing for complying with state statute section 125.0231 Florida statutes, providing for purpose and intent, providing for definitions from section 125.0231, providing for prohibitions required in section 125.0231, providing for exemptions, providing for enforcement, providing for codification, repeal of conflicting codes, ordinances, and resolutions, providing for severability, scrivener's errors, and providing an effective date.
All right. The public hearing for ordinance number 16-2024 is open. Anyone wishing to speak on the issue of unauthorized public camping and sleeping can now do so. Seeing no speakers, does anyone have any questions on this ordinance?
No, sir.
Okay, public hearing for ordinance number 16-2024 is now closed. Be looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve D15 ordinance number 16-2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
This will be a first reading of ordinance number 17-2024, vacating and closing a 10-foot portion of a city right-of-way known as Cherokee Circle.
An ordinance vacating and closing a 10-foot portion of city right-of-way known as Cherokee Circle at the request of adjacent owner Daniel Chason, providing for verification of no conflict with utilities, providing for verification of legal description and drawing, providing for an effective date.
Okay, any questions on this ordinance? Okay, is no one from the audience? Yes, sir. You in the back, you'll have to come up to the microphone. Just give your name and address for the record.
Daniel Chason. I live at 602 Cherokee Circle.
Mhm.
It's the house that's right across the street on the corner.
Okay.
It's the only house. It was actually the very first house that was built in 1960. And that one side has a 25-foot right of way instead of a 15-foot right of way.
Hmm.
So that's why I'm asking for the 10 feet to come back. So it'll be like everybody else's house. I'm not
Okay.
asking for anything extra. I'm just asking what everybody else has.
Understood. Do we have any questions for the applicant?
No, sir.
Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the D16 for the vacating and closing of the 10-foot portion of the Cherokee Circle.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Last call for questions. Please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, sir.
Item number 17, this will be the first reading of ordinance number 10-2024.
An ordinance of the city of Avon Park amending the future land use map of the city of Avon Park, Florida, specifically amending one parcel of land comprising of plus or minus 0.36 acres on property located at 603 South Lotila Avenue, Avon Park, from the future land use of low-density residential to medium-density residential, transmitting said amendment to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity for notification purposes only, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date.
Stephanie, what can we do for you tonight?
Well, good evening, board members. And so I'm Stephanie Von Pileski Bush with the Central Florida Regional Planning Council. And before you, there's actually two changes. The first one is the future land use change, and the second one is the rezoning. So I'm kind of going to go over both of those at the same time, and then I guess you'll have to split them out at the end. But so the property is located at 603 Lotila, and this may sound familiar because we did all of this for 601 Lotila for the same applicant back in, I don't know, April, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't remember what I had for breakfast. So anyway, so sorry. The purpose is to update the future land use and the zoning map. And basically what this will do is to increase the density by one extra unit. So there'll be 2 units instead of 1. Next slide. And so from here, so this shows the current future land use and the current zoning. So the current future land use there is low density residential. And you can see just to the north of that square is the darker or brighter yellow. And that was 601 Lotilo, which that change was made at the beginning of this year. And then same with the zoning slide. You can see that it was currently it's R1AA and the request is to change it to R2. And then on the next slide. So this is the proposed future land use and zoning. As you can see, the proposed future land use is medium density residential, and then the proposed zoning is R2. So it'll just match what was previously changed. And then on the next slide, this just kind of goes over the density. It's just the math basically. And in the end, it works out to just to be 1 extra dwelling unit, as I mentioned earlier. So, and then the change is compatible with the surrounding area. And the public facilities, water and sewer are available, and there will be no negative impact. And just because it's just 1 extra unit, and then no additional impact on the surrounding roadways, roadway network, solid waste, or public schools or recreational facilities. And so this is for the future land use. These are motion options. The next slide shows the motion options for the zoning. So first step.
Any questions for Stephanie?
Did I miss it? What the recommendation of the P and Z is?
They voted to approve it.
Thank you.
You did miss that.
I have a question. How many units are they already planning to do at this point before the approval?
So 1 unit would be permitted, and after the change, it would be 2 units total. So I'm pretty sure they're planning on building a duplex. So it's just 1 additional.
Any other questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve ordinance number 10-2024?
So move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Item number 11, it's be ordinance number 11-2024.
An ordinance of the City of Avon Park amending the official zoning map of the City of Avon Park, Florida, specifically amending 1 parcel of land comprising of plus or minus 0.36 acres on property located at 603 South Latilo Avenue, Avon Park, from a zoning of R-1AA low density residential to R-2 medium density single family attached and duplex, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, so this will just be the official zoning in conjunction with the future land use that we just changed. Is there any questions for this?
No.
Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve ordinance number 11-2024?
So move, please.
We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no questions, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Stephanie, we thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 19, this will be resolution 2024-25.
A resolution of the City of Avon Park, Florida, relating to the State Revolving Fund Loan Program for Project WW 28043, making findings, authorizing a loan application, authorizing a loan agreement, establishing pledged revenues, designating authorized risk representatives, providing assurances, providing for conflicts, severability, and effective date.
All right, Jason. You want to highlight the changes that are proposed with this funding?
So we're required to come to the council for the funding for the design. It's for the upgrades of our wastewater treatment plant for the nutrient reduction with the nitrogen and phosphorus. So we have to take steps forward, working towards that per the administrative order that the city has. And each positive step it'll look good for us in satisfying that order. So it's a $1.4 million loan with 1.26, I believe, 1.26 million forgivable. And this is something that we have to do. This will end up going out for RFQ, and we'll have engineers come in and present according to what we're requesting. It was a design is already there from Kimley Horn, but we can't just say we want Kimley Horn, so we're just going to go out for a RFQ. That is, we put together the RFQ already. Andy is he's the utility management analyst now. He's already put that together, and it's been advertised to go out and for the firms to put in their, I guess, packet together for us to review. And it's just a requirement that we present here today to the council, and then for you to decide on it. We do have the funding available. We will be also trying to look to save some of the money that we originally had put for the septage receiving. So we're trying to see what we can do there. We have a good feeling that we'll be able to get that funded through a grant opportunity. So hopefully, we're getting grants for the majority of everything we do. And this was basically, less than about 10% of the design cost for the construction activities. And we're on the priority list, so this is something we had to get in front of you right away. And this is going to be, I guess, submitted it has to be in by the 11th, I believe.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one for Jason. Jason, so out of the 1,400,000, we'll only have to pay $150,000 back if we get approved.
I think 140, I believe. Yes. Yes, Councilman. Okay. So 150.
Any other questions?
You said we had to have this in by December 11th or January 11th?
December. So we were lucky. We're lucky enough to have this ready. But we need to get this signed and in. So because we're on the priority list and get that in.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Seeing none, be looking for a motion.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2024-25.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Jerry, is there anything special with me being able to sign this? Do they have to give me explicit authority to sign this or anything?
Yeah, well, it's generally included in the package. Did we not give the mayor authority to sign for this? I could have sworn I
Yeah,
saw
it was in there. I just want to make
Okay.
sure there wasn't something additional.
No, that's all you need.
Okay.
Could have sworn I saw that. Yeah.
All righty. We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 20, this would be RFP 24-15, sale of a city-owned property, 504 North Lake Avenue, bid award. Miss Kelly, I see your name there.
Yes, thank you. So September 25th, you advertised a piece of property located at 504 North Lake Avenue. 3 bids were received. The highest bid was from Mr. Bill Jarrett for $20,000. Subsequent to the bid being received, we did find out that there were back property taxes due on the property. So we did reach out to Mr. Jarrett to confirm that he would be able to pay the $2,685.03 in addition to the $20,000.
And the answer was?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions on this bid?
No, sir.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the RFP 2415 sale of city-owned property to Mr. Bill Jarrett.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Let's hurry up and vote before he backs out.
Mayor, I got a question for
Yeah, go
Mr.
ahead.
Jarrett. Mr. Jarrett, what's the
Miss-
purpose?
Mr. Jarrett, do you mind coming up to the microphone? You will give your name and address for the record.
Before we do that, we had a motion and a second on the table. Do we want to call roll first or am I off here? I thought we call roll before we do discussion.
Yeah, so with a motion and a second, we can ask questions and
Yeah,
My apologies.
it's only if we don't have a second that we can't ask.
right.
So,
ahead.
Mr. Jerry, I was just curious, what's your plans for the property?
To remove the piece of property that's imploding right now and level it. And probably the first option we'll have is we have 75 residents out of the hospital. And they come and work for us for their last year of training before they get their white coat for 9 months. And our biggest need is for housing. So the idea is to build a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home there and give it to a future doctor
Oh, wow.
for every 9 months, and they'll rotate that. And there's a group of us around the county who are trying to solve the housing need for the doctors to be. In hopes that of those 75, probably 10% stay.
Good man.
Great cause, great cause. Love it. Love it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Jarrett. All right, we have a motion and a second. If there's no further questions, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you very much and God bless you.
Thank you.
Amen.
All right, item number 21, city switch. Long-term lease. This will be for the cell tower.
It's a city switch on the Zoom.
They are.
Okay, is there any overview you want to give for this?
Sure, this is a long-term lease for an initial term of 10 years. Well, let me back up. Prior to that, they have a testing period to determine whether or not the site is viable. So they can do their RF engineering studies, their soil samples. And if they decide to move that lease amount is $1,000 per year. They have up to 3 years to figure out if they want to actually build the tower. If they do decide to move forward, it would be for 10 years. It's $875 a month that they would pay. There's a 3% annual increase. If they have other providers that co-locate on the tower, that's an additional $150 per month to the city. They do have 3 5-year automatic renewals. So unless they opt to not renew, they will automatically renew. And then Mr. Kendall Lutz, I think his name is pronounced, is on the line if you have any other questions.
Okay, do we have any questions for the applicant?
And where's the location at again?
Right behind the sheriff's station.
Okay.
Is there a plan for what carriers will go at that site? Sir?
Mr. Lutz, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
We
sir.
can.
Thank you very much. Yes, so the tower is initially being designed for AT&T, but it will be designed to support, all of the major carriers. And we have heard, I believe, that there is interest in that tower and that location beyond AT&T.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, how many miles I know it's been a while since we discussed this, so I'm asking again, how many miles would this cover, or how many feet, whatever, with this yards, how far would this tower cover?
I'm not sure that it goes all the way up to a mile from that location at this height, but it's my understanding that it will cover the city there.
Okay.
Am I wrong in thinking that the idea of this tower is to more or less cover a dead spot for AT&T service?
Yes, sir.
How tall is the tower?
Ooh. The design that we are looking at, one second, I want to check my notes to be 100% sure. That would be a 150-foot tower with the total height, including the lightning rod, at 160 feet. And that would be a monopole tower.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sure.
So just so I know, just so I can keep this clear, you said that they'll do soil testing and other testing on the land for approximately a year.
They have the option to, yes. They could move faster if they want to, but they have an initial year and then 2 additional years after that if they still want to study it.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I make a motion, we approve item number 21 to City Switch for long-term lease.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 22, regular updates from the city manager.
Do not have anything official aside from, I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. And I do have Mr. Lee Bostic, our solid waste supervisor, here to give you a comprehensive update on the debris removal from Milton.
Mr. Bostic, welcome. We'll get you hooked up here in a second.
Good evening. So some of the things that
Can you
were
speak
of-
up?
Yep.
some of the things that were of concern that came across my desk about the yard debris that's being collected. We are now 96 to 98% finished with collecting the yard debris from the storms. Talking to Mr. Bob Diefendorf from the county on today, he did let me know that Avon Park Sanitation, our part of collecting yard debris, has concluded. There are still 1 to 2 contractors out there that is completing the yard debris pickup, the last 2 to 4% yard debris pickup.
Okay.
Also, we are now the city of Avon Park Sanitation have begun to collect C&D. We have collected about 25%. And again, talking to Mr. Bob Diefendorf today, there is not enough C&D that he would need our participation anymore. It would just be county and or FEMA continuing the C&D pickup.
Okay.
So there's really not a lot of C&D out there. You see a lot of piles with couches and things like that, which is not C&D. So anything, any C&D with other things in it, they won't collect it. So we, as of probably tomorrow or whenever our schedule picks back up, I don't know what'll be tomorrow, but we will begin our Avon Park regular scheduled pickups starting tomorrow. So we'll be back on our schedule as the city of Avon Park starting tomorrow.
Okay.
But we have done some the C&D that you see, the 25% that we've done is kind of scattered areas. There's some areas like maybe in Avon Park Lakes, south of Main Street. There's some areas that have been picked up with C&D, and it's a lot of hit and miss. Mr. Diefendorf, he gives us, he's kind of like the man in charge. So he gives us the last map he gave me. There are just certain spots that have C&D. He's had his people go out and spot C&D piles. So what they'll do is give us an address or an area with a mark saying there's a C&D pile there. So well, that's what he was doing. And again, we are no longer having to help with the C&D. Another question was brought up as how we were managing our normal bulk and yard debris pickups as a city while we were doing that. So of course, that being priority, the storm cleanup, I had 3 trucks going out. So those 3 trucks going out were picking up garbage, regular garbage, but they were also, if there was small bulk, not the couches or anything, like small bulk, they were also directed to pick those things up. So even though we couldn't get the big stuff, we wanted to make sure that, we were doing our best to kind of help, maintain the city as best we can.
Sure.
And we're again no longer needed to help the county with any pickups. So again, we'll be back on what we were doing normally. Just to throw out some numbers, they're not quite to the T, but they're really, really close. So regular hours that we have used just in our department to help with the storm debris is about 1,280. Overtime hours is about 300. So that's how hard we've been working, trying to make sure that we did our part to help get the city clean. I have 2 plow trucks or clam trucks, depending on how you say it. 140 40 feet, and the other one was 24 feet. And we had people working Wednesdays. Normally sanitation is not open other than the front loader. So they were working on Wednesdays. We had people working on Saturdays as well as Sundays, trying to make sure that we were doing our part. So that kind of totaled the 300 hours of manpower for the overtime.
Very good. Any indication as to when the city might be reimbursed?
I do not have that information, but I can get that information for you.
Most likely, we'll probably get reimbursed right after FEMA reimburses the county.
Okay.
So once that happens, then we'll have all we have all the logs and everything.
And that'll be after
that we'll submit. Yes.
That'll be after January, I'm assuming.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Probably into like March.
Yeah.
That's the way FEMA, how it moves.
Understood. Any more questions for Mr. Bostic or Jason on this?
I just want to add to that, the schedule that we will be going to now is going to kind of directly reflect what the county does as far as bulk and yard waste.
Okay.
So we'll be putting out that calendar and we'll have it on the website of what those collection dates are. Remember, just Monday and Tuesday now, with Wednesday, Thursday, Friday being either work orders or special pickups.
Very good. Any other questions for staff?
Nope. Great job.
Seeing none, that concludes our regular agenda. We have some signups. All right. Looks like we have Jamar Moffett, 1008 Peel Street. Caroling on Main Street. Nope, already been there.
Okay.
Yes, sir. If you will, come up to the microphone and give your name and organization.
Good evening. I am with Victory Tabernacle Apostolic International. Basically, I'm just here to ask for permission if we're wanting to do some caroling on Main Street at that gazebo there. And so we just wanted to make sure that we had permission to do that on the 21st of December.
So, Jerry, if they're not closing anything down, do they need permission?
Okay.
Basically a park that you use for those types of purposes, right? Yeah, it's not something we're supporting and providing as a special event or anything like that. So, yeah.
So it's public use.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Knock yourself out. Not literally.
Okay.
Do it and be
you.
careful.
Yes.
I have a question. What time does that start?
4 p.m.
At 4. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And is it just people that are in your church?
Just people.
I'm not going to sing. I'm just curious.
Yeah, it is just people that are in our church. Well, you can join in.
No,
if
that's
you'd like to.
It's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
At 4. Okay.
We're trying to go for about an hour or so, 5. Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Sounds
God
great.
bless you.
All right. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, next up, it's like three of these are Mr. Scott Harrod, 2602 South Flamingo Road. Sure. Yep, Thomas Etchison. Where are you, sir? All right. I'll help him out as he comes up to the microphone. This is Thomas Etchison. This is 3211 South Highlands Hammock Drive. He's going to talk to us about sewer and water.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to come and present our, it's not a petition, it's a request.
Yes, sir.
We'd like to request maybe to reconsider the raising of the water and the sewer rates. I know it's a done deal. The water that we're disputing is the water that we're using on the irrigation. It's not going through the sewer. I know that the rate for the first 3,000 gallon is well and good. But anything over that, 1,000, let's see, for every 1,000 gallon, it's an additional $9, I believe. And this, if nothing else, could this rate be reduced? I know you've already voted to pass this issue. But I'm just trying to see if there's any consideration that you could do to reduce the rate on the sewage water that's going in, not into the sewers, but into irrigation right into the soil itself. And my next question, when we were acquired by the city of Avon Park, that was January the 18th of 2012 is when this took place. And I'm sure you can check your records. But one other issue is when the city took over the auto pay on the water, I've been paying auto pay for 28 years. And now we're going to be assessed another minimal $1.50 per month being switched over to a new plan. Why was this done?
I'm sure it has to do with credit card fees or something. Is there anything you can share, Melody?
Yeah, that's a pass through from the company that we contracted with to take the payments. It's a fee that they collect. The city does not collect it.
Convenience fee.
But you were doing a fine job prior to outsourcing this to another source.
Trust me, we converted to a new software system and it's been a challenge for everyone. So
I would just like to comment on the water usage fees.
Sure.
They have the option of getting a landscaping meter so that they're not charged the sewer rate on that usage.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd also like to comment that when we get consultants that look at our finances and see what it takes in order for our utilities to break even and be able to function without losing money. And my recollection is that we actually took a rate that was lower than what they had recommended. Is that?
That's true.
That's my recollection.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately, I wasn't at the first meeting, and but I appreciate what you have done for us as far as our roads. We're trying to work with you. We're more than happy to be a part of your city, but we want a little respect too. All we're doing is just asking for some favors. But you say there are meters that we can obtain.
but they're not free.
I know they're not
Okay.
free. What would be the cost of these meters?
I think they're working on it. Do we know what the cost for those meters will be right off the top of our head?
So it would be an irrigation meter. So based off the size, you're charged based off the size. So anywhere
Assuming
from
it's
five, it's a 1
5
inch, say it's a 1 inch, an estimated amount for 1 inch, Joe, would be.
Roughly $800 for the material for the install.
Well,
800.
So it's,
Is that, when you say 1 inch, that's for the whole community or?
no, it's no, for irrigation. So if you can do a 3/4 inch if you want, depending on how much, if you want a 3/4, or, just say 3/4 is about how much?
700, 750.
So what goes into this, and I'll say this, you are not allowed to have an irrigation system hooked up to your domestic water line. That is a cross connection, and that's a violation for FDEP. So if you have that now, you're not supposed to have that. Never were supposed to have that. So being that that's a cross connection, anyone comes up and says, hey, I have this in my house and now I have, if you don't get that off, then, it's our requirement to turn the water. To stop the cross connection so that city water supply doesn't get damaged.
You could put a backflow preventer on there to overcome that cross connection, can you not?
Yeah, you need to do that, but you can't. You need to have a backflow preventer on that. But the best requirement for us, so you're not paying that sewer charge, is that you're going to have to get the line tapped, which is in the agreement. Which kind of came up. I had this came to us last week. So you would have to get the line tapped. So being that those streets were dedicated, you need to get a right-of-way permit, and you'd have to have somebody tap that line. And then when they tap the line, then you'd have to pay for the $400 permit fee, and then you would have to have someone tap the line, and the city would come in and install the meter. But after that, you would only get charged whatever the per 1,000 gallons on the water rate.
I don't think that would be feasible in our park because I don't think our management would allow us to do that. Being it's their land, we're renting it. I don't think that would be feasible. But I appreciate your information. Pass it along to the other residents. But thank you for your time tonight. And that's really all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. We've got two more. Mr. Scott Harrod.
I just want to make a comment. We would like to meet with the park manager so we can discuss options with them that would be beneficial to the residents.
Sure. Yeah, they've always been very open to someone from the staff going out there.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm sure he'd be more than willing to talk to you. I'm Scott Harrod. I live at 2602 South Flamingo Road.
Yes, sir.
Crystal Lake Club. Tom touched on about everything I wanted to say, but I want to go just a touch further with a few things.
Okay.
Far as this separate meter, so you're saying it's going to be $800 plus a $400 tap fee, and am I correct in assuming that?
There'll be a right-of-way fee. You'll have to pay, I believe, the capacity fee to the city, but then
Yeah, no capacity on that.
you'll pay a right-of-way fee, and then the cost of the meter, and the private contractor will put in your service line.
So it could be upward of $1,000 to $2,000 to put this meter in.
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk just a minute about the water bills themselves. I know you went to a new system. They're way out of whack. We've had people in the park that have two people in their house and they're getting a $300 water bill. We've had people that have been on vacation for a month. It's the same thing. They're getting these huge water bills. We had the same water, sewage, and trash from you guys for 7 months straight. It was $79.22. Now you can't tell me that we used the same exact amount of water for 7 months.
It was probably a minimum charge.
Well, but there's two of us there. And plus irrigation twice a week. And the one thing about the irrigation system is that we're kind of stuck in between. You know, the water is supplied by you, but Crystal Lake Club makes us sign a paper when we buy our house there saying that we will have a working irrigation system and it will be used. So here we are, we're paying these huge water bills for a system that we have to use. You know, that's the first we heard anything about having to separate the two and spend $2,000. So, you know, we're caught in between. And I think a meeting with management there would be very justified.
Sure.
That's all I've got. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Got George Grace. There a George Grace, 905 Entman Road. Going once, going twice. We potentially got somebody outside.
He didn't say anything about that.
Okay. Is there anything else for the good of the city? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Seeing no opposition, we are adjourned.
Thank you.